Music fans will save the planet. Huh? I know you're going, what? Lean in, delegates, lean in. Adam Met is a member of the AJR Brothers. He is also Executive Director, Sustainable Partners. And Adam, come in here, is also a PhD candidate in human rights. This is no ordinary musician. He's a special one, which is why he's here at the Leaders Summit. Adam, can't wait to see what you have for us. Over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. So I want to thank everybody at the UN Global Compact and everyone who is listening today. And like you said, this talk is not going to be the same as everything you've heard over, the last few panels, even though I've been listening into the last few panels and they align so much with what I love to study. My PhD is focused on stakeholder engagement with human rights and sustainable development, but I don't want to talk to you about that today. I want to talk to you about music. And I know it might sound strange, but I have a few examples of stories that I want to tell you why music is such a powerful tool for sustainability and for human rights around the world. So like I said, I want to start with a story. We were performing. 5,000 screaming fans didn't notice what happened at first. We continued to sing, the lights continued to flash, music continued to play, and it was just another few seconds before we all realized that something was wrong. A chatter had spread through the arena. It wasn't excitement, it wasn't anticipation, it was something else, and we felt it too. Between the flailing arms and stumbling legs, we glimpsed the body of a young girl on the floor, and we stopped the show. Now, we'd never stopped a show for anything, for any reason at all, but this girl was having a seizure in the middle of the show. Silence fell across the room. Like a single organism with us at the head, we parted the crowd to guide the paramedics to this injured girl. 5,000 people in one place all had a single purpose. 5,000 people who most of them had never met each other before. They all had this single purpose: to ensure the well-being of one single individual. And it worked. It took a few seconds to bring the energy back up, but after that the audience jumped and sang along, but there was something else. All together we had worked to build something so much more than a concert, something that made us all together a community. Now, this concert happened in Salt Lake City in the United States, and after the concert, I started to think about the power of that community, to be a die-hard fan of our band, AJR, and then at the drop of a hat, mobilize for something so much greater than yourselves. So even when the tour was over and I returned to school and I started to work on my dissertation, my mind continued to think about this idea of community and the thing that brought all of those people together. So I've lived and breathed the music industry for the last 15 years, and it's given me some really interesting insight about fans and how a fan base works and how people can be so tight-knit and dedicated towards one specific idea. And yet, as I wrote my PhD about climate devastation across Asia and Africa, the human rights abuses occurring as a result, and the stakeholder approaches that we can use to solve these problems, I made a connection between the two. Now, when you hear the phrase climate crisis, most people's inclination is fear. Fear of the future, fear of rising waters, wildfires, people losing their homes, cities, countries. The entire movement has been based on fear. Now that's, of course, worked to inspire some people. A lot of businesses and governments and individuals have gotten on board based on this fear. But there is so much more to it than this fear, and it's not nearly enough for the concrete change that we need. Now, when you hear the names Beyoncé or BTS or the Beatles, people's first inclination is excitement. There's an immediate dopamine rush for people, and of course music is fun, it fills you up, it's everywhere, but it builds a community in a very unique way. Throughout the rest of what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to keep referring to this idea of a ladder. And I want you to think about this ladder of how we can build engagement for people and move them up the ladder. Now, there are music fans that are on the first rung. When they hear a song in a supermarket, they may recognize it but not necessarily know an artist. And then they may go home and listen to more music. Then they move up the ladder. They may buy tickets to a show. They may join a fan club, and they keep moving up this ladder, getting more and more excited about this music and this artist. Now, this ladder is built on one thing, and that's excitement. The more excited someone gets, obviously, the higher up the ladder they go. And the music industry has crafted their ladder in a brilliant way. So I'm going to share a few more examples of the other side of this ladder. So if you think of the ladder like this as a triangle, music fans are going up this way. How can we take these same strategies from the music industry to get people excited and engaged in what can't be called anything else but a movement? How can we use those same strategies and apply them to the movement that is sustainable development? So I'm going to continuously refer to this ladder as the ladder of engagement. Now, this isn't a new concept. Every charity campaign and business has been trying to get people engaged for forever. But I want to share a few of the pivotal rungs on this ladder. Okay, the first one is incentives. In the music industry, we create all different types of incentives for participation, and I'm sure many of the people who are watching today are familiar with incentives, but the majority of the incentives that are used in the sustainability space are financial incentives and tax incentives. But on the music side, there's a whole new way to think about it. Pre-order an album and you get a discount or a bonus song. Follow us on social media for exclusive content, or join our text list to get access to things before anything else. Each time people participate in one of these fun and interesting incentives, it makes them feel more part of this community that we're trying to build. Now, Sustainable Partners, Inc., which is the nonprofit organization that I founded, we focus on creative incentives for participating in the work that we do. Now, at the simplest level, much like following someone on social media, we say for every person that follows our podcast, we will plant a tree. All you have to do is subscribe to the podcast, and we plant a tree. Now, I know many businesses across the world have done this kind of social media engagement around liking something or following somebody and it equating to one tree planted. But if you think about it from a psychological perspective, what that does for people, now, with one subscription, we as an organization have potential access to these climate activists. These are people who are on the first rung of our ladder, but they really have the potential to move up. We're now inside their phones with important messages, educating them about the climate movement in fun ways. But like I said before, there is a psychological element. These subscribers are proud that they planted a tree, that they did something good for the world, so proud that they may share the podcast with others, and not just for the content, but because of how that incentive made them feel. So much like music, where the incentives can focus on making people feel good about themselves, this does exactly the same thing. That planted tree they can wear like a badge of honor. But we get the better end of the deal. We've moved them up this ladder. Okay, so far that incentive focused on individual engagement, and I know that individual engagement is something that brands like to talk about. However, there is something we can do that is so much wider and bigger and stronger. So the next rung on this ladder is creative partnerships. In the music industry, we do this all the time. I'm sure you've seen tours that go out that are sponsored by different brands, or, artists creating different products. For example, we created a hot sauce. Our most recent song that was a hit was called Bang. And so we created a hot sauce that's called Bang. And what we did is we partnered with a community garden in the Bronx in New York City, where we're from. And all of the money that we raise from selling this hot sauce goes back to support this community garden. And it's increased jobs, it's increased access to fresh food. It's been an incredible project for us. But the whole idea is that the partnership needs to make sense. So that's why we created a campaign called Time for Change. Imagine you're watching a video on YouTube. Of course, before the video plays, there's an ad. After 5 seconds, you have the option to skip it. But if you don't skip it, and watch the full 20 seconds, imagine if that time you could plant a tree, pull a pound of plastic out of the ocean, provide a meal to a child in need, or even alleviate medical debt related to COVID. This campaign has been tremendously successful, and we've worked with many brands on this. If you think about it, what brands want is for people to watch their ads all the way through. We've created a simple incentive to get people to watch brands' ads all the way through in exchange for a positive action. The brand provides the funds, but people provide their time. And we've seen incredible numbers on this. And for those of you who are in the advertising space who are watching, for the campaigns that we've run so far, it's 30 times the average retention rates. And for the people who watch all the way through, it's over 70% click-through rates on advertisements, which is something that is absolutely unheard of. So we did a campaign with Ticketmaster in 2020, and we planted 100,000 trees in just 3 weeks from people watching these ads. So this incentive is now less about the individual, and it's more about running full campaigns that can help showcase corporate social responsibility initiatives while engaging customers. Okay, so the last rung that I want to talk about on the ladder today is community building. And it might not be as exciting as planting trees or watching video content, but on the music side, we can't ignore the business side of music because it is a very important part of it. In the music industry, it's really difficult for a song to become a hit. I'm sure you know. Let me give you an example. Our song Weak, which you're going to hear in a little while, has about 1 billion streams around the world. The song is double platinum in the US. Actually, it might be triple platinum by this point, but that sounds pretty good, right? You may be surprised to hear that it wasn't played very much on the radio. We only performed it on one TV show, and we got almost no press about this song. The success of that song was fueled by one thing: our evangelizing fans. And that's where we are right now in the climate movement. The song after Weak was a song called Bang that I mentioned before. Radio took a chance on this song. A few small stations grew into hundreds across the world, and before we knew it, we were top 5 on the radio charts with a #1 song on iTunes. This chance is what convinced press to start writing about it. We performed it on many TV shows, and I have a feeling that a lot of people who are listening have heard this song before. Now, we need some of this system-wide change in the climate movement. So to go back to this song metaphor, Weak, even though it had millions and billions of streams, in fact, it was brought about by this grassroots movement. And that was great. But like I said, it wasn't on the radio, it wasn't on TV. Our song Bang, that actually started to get some of those other partners on board, became such a global phenomenon because it started with those people who were evangelizing about the movement. These young people protesting about climate, these businesses that we've heard from over the last many hours who are on the forefront of sustainable development. Once all of those partners come together, you have this swell that's growing, and that's how you can convince those larger gatekeepers to make it a global phenomenon. Policymakers and politicians, more businesses, large and small, plus that wave of individuals that I was talking about. We need just enough of these influential members and structures in our community to do the same. And some people call it peer pressure. You know, in the music industry, when somebody doesn't like a song, their friends will peer pressure them into liking it. But what we need is these champions that we've heard from over the last many hours to take the first step. And we all know that the first step is more than saying that climate is a problem. We have to believe that climate is a problem, but we are way, way past that. We need to bring this song of sustainability and the SDGs to radio right now. So, returning to this ladder, the more excited people get, the more they're willing to move up the ladder. The process is about people getting excited enough to form groups that together end up changing this system. And obviously, everyone who's on today knew that already. And the Global Compact is amazing at doing this, at engaging all different stakeholders from all over the world to get people excited. But now we need to rely on these new strategies above and beyond these internal focuses within companies. We need to figure out ways to engage with our stakeholders, with our customers in new and creative ways to get them excited about the movement. Because we are far past the place where we need to be convincing people that climate change is a problem. There are so many other places in the world where we can get people excited. Sports, food, fashion, those are amazing places that we can look to for these really creative strategies. Now, our community we built with our music is incredibly important to me, but it's also unique. Our fans support the music, but they've also taught me how to be a better movement builder, a better academic, like I said, and a better activist. Now, that night in Salt Lake City inspired an idea of how to build this kind of community, but we're just getting started. As we embark on the most pivotal time our species has seen on this planet, it is our duty, all of our duty, to support each other and the planet by building and climbing this ladder together. Thank you so much. Thank you to the UN Global Compact. I'm thrilled to be here today and to hear the rest of the sessions. Back to you.
Thank you, Adam Met. The main plenary stage will take a break for approximately an hour. If you've been following our conversation, the Leaders Summit on UN Web TV, then this is it for you. You're done unless you look out for the registration on the Hopin platform. Best way to do that, the fastest way to do that is go to @GlobalCompact on Twitter, go through the feed. You will find lots of links there for you to register. There's still 20 more hours of the Leaders Summit to go, so plenty more for you to dig deep into. So while the main plenary stage takes a break, we have multiple other stages, and right now the breakout sessions have already begun. Have a look through the schedule, have a look through the speakers. Who do you want to spend time with? There are leaders and innovators and knowledge sessions. There's so much going on all at the same time, so use the schedule to guide you so you can pop in and out of the breakout sessions. And then I will see you back here on the main stage in approximately 1 hour from now. And we will be looking at the challenges of human rights and racial justice, two incredibly important issues of our time. Go break out. I will see you soon.